Who's calling that? Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Who's calling that shit? Who? Hey.
Hello and welcome to Soul Talk podcast. And today I'm with Adele. I've known her for years and I still don't know how to say her surname.
Inglis. Inglis.
So
like
whenever I've
Pringles.
spoken to people, I've been calling you Adele Inglis.
No.
Which I think has like a Spanishy feel to it if you're ever up for... So how do you say
it? It's Inglis. Like Pringles.
Oh my God, I would never have known
without
that.
the PR.
That's actually crazy that I've never known
Yep, it's
that.
alright, I have to get it wrong anyway.
That's actually crazy. So yeah, I've known Adele for a very long time and we've been trying to do this podcast actually for a few months now, haven't we? But we feel like timing's right to do it today. So do you want to just start off with telling us a little bit about you?
Yeah, obviously my name's Adele Inglis. I'm 27. I'm going to be 28 this year. I am originally from Glasgow, East Kilbride, just outside Glasgow really, and I moved to Manchester when I was about 18. I'm a dance instructor, Pilates instructor, own my own small business and run my own program called Is Maur. And yeah, that is all I can think about myself for now.
So let's rewind back with the dance career, because dancing is something that's obviously been like a big part of your life.
Yep.
So where did your dance journey actually start and how?
Well, originally when I was a kid, was a competitive figure skater. So done that for many years, and then my gran and grandpa took me down to a dance competition in Blackpool that my little cousins were competing at when I was only like 9 or 10 or something. And that was actually the very first UDO World Championships that I went to in Blackpool, and that was like 2007, between 2007 2009 or something like that.
Right.
And then I fell in love with it when I went and watched it, and then that's when they put me into a local dance school back home, which was in Coatbridge, which I then attended for about 10.
Oh wow, so you was there a long
years.
time.
Yeah,
Right.
probably under 10 years, and that's where we done all the competitions, and that's where my dance journey really started. And that's where I met a lot of my friends that I still have today as well, which is crazy. Then moved on to go to college and trained at college, where I then learned more like technical styles with my ballet and my jazz and stuff like that, contemporary. And met some other dancers out with that. Went to LA for a month, trained out there, and then eventually moved down to Manchester not long after that. And that's where I went to uni. Studied at uni for 3 years, and I've been down here working and teaching ever since, pretty much, for the past 10 years as well.
And we met in that transition of you actually moving from Scotland. So what was that transition like, moving from obviously your hometown, an area you've been in for a long time, to the transition to coming here, not only like to study but living here as well? It's really nice actually that you had friends that sort of came with you and did that as well. But talk to us about that transition.
Well, I feel like I was always like quite, how do I say it, like quite a wild teenager, quite a wild kid, just loved to get up to no good really. But I think moving down here and having that responsibility at 18 was like a big wake up call for me, and it really helped me to settle down and meet the right kind of people, start hanging about with the right kind of people, and just really finding a group of friends that were a good influence for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I always knew that I wanted to leave the town that I was from and like move to a bigger city, whether that be London or Manchester or anywhere else. I was quite open to that from a young age. And yeah, it completely changed my life really, because I've managed to stay here for the past 10 years as well.
Yeah, that's actually crazy how long you've been here now as well. Would you ever move back now? You've experienced being here in Manchester?
Not in the near future, but maybe one day, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not
I honestly have no idea.
When you was growing up, what were your like favourite dance styles? What were the main styles that you enjoyed or you liked to train in?
We actually done a lot of like house, a lot of hip hop, street styles, stuff like that from growing up. So that was something that I was really interested in. And we done choreography, like commercial and hip hop choreography and stuff like that. So that was everything that I knew up until that point, really. And then when I discovered like contemporary and when we started doing a bit more contemporary stuff, I really fell in love with that, which I ended up doing a lot more of throughout my training anyway. And yeah, I think that would still be the two main ones, like the hip hop, the street styles, the contemporary, that really interests me to watch and to do as well.
Yeah. What I'm quite interested in what you said there was how long you've actually spent at your dance school as a child.
Yeah.
So being a studio owner, I'm quite curious actually to ask you about that journey, because it's very rare that you have someone who stays at the same dance school during that 10-year transition, because you change so much like as a person. And I can see now I'm going to get you to think right back. But what was that journey like? Like, what was it like to actually grow up in a dance school over those 10 years? Like, what did you find out about yourself? And how did that sort of help you? Did it help you in any ways that serve you now as an adult?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if you're going to want to include this, but I think that we were under a contract. Okay. So, like, we weren't allowed to train anywhere else.
Okay. Like, but this is good because it's something that we're starting to see change quite a lot actually in the dance industry. So we got a
lot of outside workshops. We had a lot of connections with the outside dance industry, which was really beneficial for us. We had amazing teachers. Everyone that came in really trained as well, but I don't always think it was the dancer's best intention at heart, at the core of that business that was going on there. But we got told that when we left, when we were 16, that we were all blacklisted and that we wouldn't work in Scotland again because we left that school. So
was it not expected that you would leave about that age anyway?
I feel like my dance teacher wasn't in favour of us going to college for some reason. I'm not sure.
Oh, right, okay. Was it expected that you were sort of still trained there and not need to go and do dance?
Yeah, I think it was more of a mindset of, we've provided everything that you could possibly have here. Why would you need to go anywhere else?
Right. And did you feel like you were ever really spoken to about having the next steps to actually make dance a career? Or was it sort of given to you the impression that you can have dance as a career?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. How bizarre is that after so long?
Yeah, but we were at school. But as a collective, like as a team, like the people that I was around in that school, we were all quite invested in dance. We all really enjoyed it. Like there's still majority of us that dance now that went on to pursue it. So I don't know if it's maybe that thinking of like, someone told me I can't do this, so that's exactly what I'm going to go and do.
It fuels you to go and do it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Could be that, I don't know, but yeah.
Okay, so digging into that just a little bit more, and obviously we have these conversations a lot, both being sort of dance in the industry, and you know, I can say that I've been through that before as a business owner as well. It feels very strange when you first experience people leaving your studio, wanting to go elsewhere. Yeah, it's something you get used to.
I think I definitely understand it more the older I've got, and like people wanting to retain those students, and you build them up and you build such a relationship with them students. Like, it's not that you want to take ownership of it, but it's like they probably just want that acknowledgement of I've been a part of your journey as well, which I do get that side to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would openly say that it is a bit of both. I think one, feeling like you have control over your business, and I think sometimes we misconstrue that by trying to control what happens with the people in our business, not realizing actually everyone's their own person.
Yep.
But I think also, just wanting the acknowledgement of where you've got that person, because they often go to the next place with all the training you've already given them.
Yep.
So I understand that, but I'm definitely someone who has had to grow and learn from that. I do feel like the dance industry, in terms of like studios particularly, has changed. We've had to be encouraged to go from competing to collaboration and knowing that there's enough students to go to everywhere. Is that something that you feel like, do you feel like that has changed from when you were at dance school to what you see now? Like, has there been any changes there, and is being in a dance studio a bit of a different experience now to what it used to be?
Yeah, I think there's definitely more schools out there, and like you said, it's more collaborative these days. It's not as like, this is my school, this is what we do here, and that's yours, you stay over there. I think there's definitely room for us all to grow, for us to work together. And I always like to keep that mindset of like, there's room for us all to eat at the table, you know what I mean? So definitely. It's like, I've learned from that personally.
When you went on to university then, and you've moved over here, tell us about sort of the transition of training, because the one consistent thing you've always had for your life is dance. But what's changed is the environments and different settings that you've been in. So talk to us about the difference once you went to college then, and then once you went to university, in terms of dance, like how it made you feel, the things that learnings that you took from those experiences as well. And I think this would really help people who are also going on that same journey, which, I feel like there's more of now, who are looking to dance as a career more now than they used to be, because we have more avenues. There's more ways of actually having a job that you love rather than having a job that you feel like you have to do. And I think people are going more that way now. So talk to us through that transition of what you feel like you learned from college and then university, and what you took in terms of a dancer from those experiences.
College actually taught me a lot when I went to college, because I left school at 16 and I thought, right, this is it. I get to dance every day. This is going to be the most amazing life ever. Still had to obviously complete all my education and stuff like that. And but I think the freedom of being able to do dance every day just changed my mindset and changed my mental health, especially being a teenager. I still was pretty wild, going out at the weekends and stuff like that, but having that avenue that I could really invest myself in, and also taking open classes out of college, like really helped me to keep that love for it. And like, it was just really intense to learn all that new information. But after the 2 years at college, then moving to university, I feel like it was just a different kettle of fish. Living on my own, having to work out finances and everything, and balancing my time and time management. Also getting a part-time job, maybe teaching on the side, doing other X, Y, and Z kind of jobs, and then having to wake up and come into uni every single day. It was super, super intense. It takes a real toll on the mental health, your physical health, your body. And I think for anyone that's looking to join university or vocational training, they just need to know how much it actually takes to be successful in the industry. And it's not just a case of, I'm going to come in and I'm going to get to learn a little nice combo and I'm going to film it for Instagram and I'm going to post it up later.
Which from the outside, it probably looks like such a shorter and simpler journey than what it is.
I think there's a whole psychological side to it that should really be considered, and people should consider that themselves if they're mentally strong enough to get through a course. And
I think you went to an institute that in particular is renowned for having professional dancers come out who do go into professional work. So I think it has like a slightly different both opportunity and pressure that comes with it, because it's a slightly different structure to what you would get in a sort of a generic university. This one specializes in dance. So when you talk about like mental health, are there particular things that actually helped you get through that time that, looking back, you think actually like served you well and actually helped you get through times that were maybe really busy or where you felt like the most strained and had to sort of like pick yourself back up? Was there anything in particular that actually helped during that time? Because this is something that I think a few people are actually struggling with at the moment.
I think the time management is super, super important, that you know how your week looks and like how you're going to balance that.
Yeah.
Whether that's like how you're going to eat on time, how you're going to socialise in that time, how you're going to get all of your laundry done, all of your cooking done and stuff like that. Being able to manage all of that is going to help you 100 times over.
Yeah.
And then for me, what personally helped me get through it is just by having a really good circle of friends that were looking out for me and that had my best intention at heart, out with of the university, I think, as well, and out with of my course, because then you need that time to come away from it. You can't be 100% on that course.
Yeah, as in like the same environment, same people sort of thing.
Yeah.
You need something that brings you away from that setting altogether.
Yeah.
So, and I've spoke to other people who often have felt like during that time they've maybe not made like a huge friend circle, or they've had a circle that's changed over the years. And I think a lot of people experience this, that who you live with and are friends with in year one generally tends to change then as you go to year 2 and 3. And I think for some universities, it can be that transition of going from staying in halls where the community is quite large to then deciding who you're actually going to live with and that working out, because it makes such a difference in your experience of like who you're about to live with and can you live with this person, because it's quite a big thing to live with another person day in, day out. So what would you advise to someone who maybe hasn't found that right circle? Are there other things they could mentally tap into to help them get through a course like what you were on?
By finding community, even though they might not be your best friends, like by finding a hobby, something to do out with of it, I think really helps. Whether that's even having a really good job that you really enjoy, that you can go to on the weekends and you can make money as well as have a good time doing that. I think that would be really beneficial. And I also think just like by taking up other sports, other hobbies, it could be stuff that interests you, and keeping your mind occupied when you're not in training all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so what I wanted to speak to you about is how you then built your company and the reasons why as well, because as your dance journeys from university, what was that transition like mentally? Because I know a few people come out of university and it's a bit of a throw-up question of, I've spent all this time now dedicating myself to dance or the subject that you've decided to do. You spent all that work, do all that time and work doing that course, you know, spending all this time dancing and training. I think there's a sudden weirdness when you come out of university and you realise actually, one, you don't have that structure anymore, and you realise how much that structure actually anchors like your life and, you know, your structure of what you're doing. It keeps you going actually, which is weird because during the time it feels like the one thing that's like breaking you a little bit. But then I also feel like in terms of dance, it's a bit like, oh, what do I do now? So what did you go on to do once you left that institute? So
when I left university, I mean, I've always been brought up with the mindset of like, you have to be in work, like you don't just stay at home and not do anything, like you have to be in work. And that includes, even if I was auditioning, if I'm not making money, I have to find a job. You know what I mean? I have to pay my bills and stuff like that. So it was all systems go. By the time I'd graduated university, I was looking for work constantly. I was already teaching in a couple of schools, so I had a little part-time job teaching. And then I seen a job advertisement online, and it was for a university lecturer at the Arden School of Theatre. So I applied for that, not thinking anything of it. I thought, I've just graduated university, let me just see what happens here. And then I was really shocked when I got an email back to ask me to go in for an interview. And then went in for an interview, and it was a sort of audition process where we had to teach back a class. and I managed to get that job, and I'm actually still working there now as a sessional lecturer for the past, well, since 2019. So got that job there. A few months later, I'd started and I was teaching a good few hours in there, and that was really helping me out after I'd just left university looking for other work, etc., etc. And then a few months later, COVID hits.
Yeah.
We're all in lockdown, and I'm like, okay, I still was teaching on Zoom, so I had quite a few hours on Zoom, which was great. But then for the next few years, we were just in and out of lockdown, so I was just teaching when I could, and then trying to book work wherever I could as well. And it was towards, I think it was just after I graduated, I also signed to Boss Castings in Manchester, where I started out doing like a couple of like extra work where I'd be background extra.
Yeah.
Over the years since then, I've like managed to work my way up, and from being an extra and then background roles, I'm now on their lifestyle books as well. So then I get to do like some modelling shoots sometimes, some like performance stuff, some acting work, and I've had loads of great experiences working from them. And then I've honestly just built up them connections over the years, and I've just been teaching in universities since then and dance schools. And I got my PGCE a couple of years ago as well. So
a lot to balance that. You know.
I always like to have like a million things on the go at once.
And I think it comes with art, that is you have to be sort of prepared to balance a few things, because
absolutely,
there's never just one path, is there? You know, you have to take the opportunities that come up. Talk to us about that. How did you actually balance doing a PGCE, which is very time consuming? It is. I think it could be a reason why some people don't take the option sometimes, because of the amount of work that comes with it. How have you balanced that? And obviously being available for casting as well, because you have to be flexible and working and teaching at the same time. Like, when you look back, did it feel like it was that chaotic, or do you wonder how you did
I mean, it's kind of still the same now, to be honest. Like, nothing's changed. Something clicked with me one day when someone said, like, you need to imagine, like, if you're self-employed, especially as a creative, you need to imagine like you've got all these tabs up, like you've got on your laptop, and you need to be ready to tap in each one every single time. So that's like really how I stay mentally locked in. I keep everything in my diary, and just still find that balance of not working as well, like even when I was back in university. So doing my PGCE, how did I balance that? It was an 18-month part-time course, so I actually got quite a lot of time to do time period to do that over. We would do like a few sessions online with our tutors, and then we would like go off and we would like write our modules up, and we would take part in our assessments and stuff like that, where we were teaching hours and stuff. And how else I balance that? And then teaching aside that, I don't know how I do it, to be honest. It just works.
Have you ever had a time where you've questioned dance, or your passion for dance has maybe diluted a little bit?
There's been times, not so much dance, but there's been times where I feel like when teaching, and I think a lot of people experience this but maybe don't talk about it as much, it really does drain you mentally, giving so much of yourself to other people, and constantly, all day in, day out, just constantly giving your energy to someone else. And then it got to a point where I realised that I wasn't doing it for me. So I wasn't questioning dance as such as like a career, but more so,
but you're putting yourself first.
I'm still a dancer if I'm not focusing on dancing myself, if I'm just teaching other people what I'm not able to do. You know what I mean? Not that I wasn't able to do it, but time, because I don't have the time, or because I've put so much energy into giving it to other people whilst teaching.
You sort of forget about your own journey.
I'm the last of the pile at that point.
Okay, speak to us more about that, because we are amongst many other people who also teach, and I agree, you do give so much of your time. And I think what a lot of people don't realise, who maybe don't teach dance, is how much before and after that class
Absolutely.
you actually give. Like, you're already giving in terms of like recruiting people into that class can be a big job on its own. And that's where I think sometimes the pressure and sometimes feeling like you're not enough, or, you know, a bit of popularity contest sometimes, or, you know, and sometimes it's not the case. It can just be like, you know, can people make that certain day and time, you know, other things. But for you as a teacher, it can really play with your mind a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, go on.
I feel like it gets to a point where like you're beforehand, you're choreographing your promo in class. You need to fill up your car, you need to travel to the class. When you arrive at the studio, you need to talk to all the parents, you need to talk to all the kids, you need to make everyone feel welcome, and you need to welcome everyone into the class. You need to remember the choreography that you've made, the counts of 8, the music, and when it comes in, and also caring for the people in the space, and all the aftermath. It depends what studio you work for, like maybe collecting payments and chasing those up, and
then giving out footage and like people, you know,
like that 1 hour actually takes up like 24 hours of work, really. So it's
got a sort of matching payment that way as well, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes, and I think, no, not even sometimes, I think a lot of the times art is very, it's almost like we're penalised for wanting it, to want it to be a job, and to, for it to pay like any other job. And it's very strange how art has had that. There's definitely, you know, maybe it's down to past artists that have been willing to do things for the love of art. You know, and I think people confuse that, misconstrue that once it becomes a job then as well, and wanting that payment for it. And it's because of that, like with the qualifications that you have, people are paying you to be able to do the work to a great standard, but in return need to know that that also takes a lot of time. Actually, it's not just being paid for like that 1 hour class, it's everything that comes around it as well. So do you teach as much now at the moment? I
do still teach as much, but I do teach a lot of Pilates as well. I found that to be, by getting my Pilates teacher qualification, I feel like that's just took a lot of the mental load off of dance, so that I can go into teaching dance and really invest. The time that I do invest is really important, and I feel like a better dance teacher for it as well,
because quality over quantity there.
Absolutely, and then I've got time to invest in my own training and stuff like that, which is going to be really beneficial when I get back around to it.
Yeah, I know we've had a personal chat about the transition into your company, Is Maur, and the Pilates. Just tell our audience about that transition into it and how you came up with the idea as well.
So Is Maur was going for a few years, like in my head, before I actually started it. I managed to write myself a DYCP application, a Develop Your Creative Practice application, with Arts Council, and I managed to gain a lovely wee bit of funding to develop my creative practice, which I was then able to, I wanted to explore a lot more within hip hop theatre. So I then done a lot of training within hip hop theatre, and created work myself, shadowed some of the pioneers in the UK and some of some of my favourite artists in the UK as well. So that was really helpful and insightful, and I knew I wanted to do something maybe before I started that as well, but that really gave me the tools to know what I wanted the outcome to be for it. So then I think it was maybe 2024 or 2025, I can't quite remember, I started a daytime sessions over summer, I think it was. And then I got some people in for the event, and they had some training throughout the summer. And it started off, it was pretty small, it was just like that little program there. And then the start of last year, I started daytime training sessions, which is still going now. It's happening every few months. And that was a way for me to get teachers in, or people that were in the same position as myself that maybe didn't have the time in the evenings because they go and teach for themselves and stuff like that, or they might have other work and they might not work the typical 9 to 5. And I wanted them to be able to have access to training throughout the daytime as well. So that was a really exciting project that I've still been working on, that I'm still building now. And as well as that, starting this year, January this year, we have closed company training sessions as well, and company training programs, which has been fabulous. We've just started our second program. The first one went so well. Everyone's like of a similar age. We're all like adults. We're all trying to pursue our careers in the dance industry, or maybe just train for the love of dance. People come for different reasons, but I've really managed to have a small collective of people that I can invest all of my time into, and that has been the big change for me, and that's what's really made a difference in comparison to, say, having an open class where different people come through every week, and I'm constantly trying to pull people in. I feel like with that group of people, I know they want to work with me, and they want to build, and they want to better themselves. And I feel like I can give a lot of myself to them as well. So
I think it's nice when it's the same group of people, because you really get to know those people, and then that sort of helps you navigate sort of your lesson plans, and the way it navigates as well is like, what does this particular group of people need now, and how
I like to know as a teacher what other people's goals are as well, and like what they want to do, because we could go into a class and I could teach you 8s on 8s on 8s, but if it's not going in your head, or if it's not resonating through the body, then there's not really...
And it's hard to accommodate that when you have an open class of different people.
Different abilities. And
it always becomes, it's more about just learning the choreography, and that's it. There isn't like much depth like beyond that sometimes, and so that's sometimes what all people are looking for. But if you're wanting something more in depth, this is great that you've created a course like this. So where do you see this like heading now, and like yourself? And I said we were talking about this, and I sort of, you're 27 now.
27 now.
Okay. And I'm not one of these that's like, by this age, what would you want to do? Because I feel like that can add a lot of pressure. And also, I don't always agree with like, by a certain age, should you ever achieve this and stuff, you can change your whole career at like the age of 50, which now being the age I am, I've got to know that myself. But in the next few years, what are sort of like, do you have any goals that you'd like to like maybe achieve, or do you have like a certain direction that you would like to go in?
My passion lies in like choreographing and creating 100%, and I would really like to build Less Is More up to that point, so that we become like maybe going into productions and creating work for other people in different avenues. I've got so many ideas, honestly. They come and go. They come as fast as they go again. But there's so many stuff that I want to do with Less Is More, and I want to really build Less Is More to be like my whole career, like so that is my main focus. And then as well as that, work alongside Joe, obviously my partner, and he's got Less Is More, so then he's got Home of the New Wave, So we really would love to work both of those together, maybe one day have our own space together that we can operate our businesses from and stuff like that. That would be really
the
amazing
dream sort of thing. And it's so great that you have a partner with such similar interests, also building a company. Have you been able to like work together and actually bounce ideas off to help each other?
100%. I feel like I've been there since the start of Home of the New Wave as well. And then there's been times where I've helped out Joe with his company, and it's now like I'm not helping him at all. He runs that himself. And he's just been so successful. The community that he's built within Home of the New Wave has just been amazing. I've learned from that in itself, that like what works, what doesn't work. And we've bounced ideas off each other forever.
So for anyone else who might take this sort of option in their career to build a company, and we're starting to see that a lot more now, and it takes a lot of bravery to build something, because you're basically creating like a whole new pathway of your own. And I think that's always great, because you end up becoming like a big fish sort of in a small community there. But what advice and what have you learned from building a company? Like what definitely doesn't work and what really has worked that you've learned and grown from and think like, oh, no, I need to do more of that. Or this is what we do now that we didn't do before.
I think the consistency is probably the key, like the consistent training and like being able to provide people with a long-term program rather than a short-term training session is what's really going to be beneficial for the client. I think for us, I wish somebody had told me is how much money you need to be willing to lose out on in the start as well, how much you need to invest into the business for it to be successful. And that includes time, your own time. That includes obviously financial, like actual money that it costs to build a business. It's not just a case of making an Instagram account and a logo, like the work that goes behind someone building their own company and for it to continue to run and for it to be successful. Don't underestimate the work that has to go into that as well.
Yeah. And so what would you say, like, for someone who maybe has that mindset of, I'm going to sort of build my socials up, what sort of steps do they need to take then beyond that to have a successful
That's brilliant. Some people build their brand off of Instagram, off of TikTok, and that's really works for them. It's not my forte, like it's not something that
because I think social media and content, it's a whole course and
it's a whole
skill
job
to learn on its own, and it can really work if you can really structure your content and really think about like social content in that way.
As soon as I can get a social media content creator, that can be their job. That's not for me, but
and also that can be very time consuming away from the job. I know I definitely feel like that at the moment, is content can just take over like your days when there's other stuff to be done as well. So what directions have you sort of gone in then away from that you feel like have helped? I'll pick your brain there.
Right. Repeat the question again.
So if you were to sort of take social media out of the picture, what are the other tools that you've been able to use that have helped you build your business up? Because there are definitely people out there who are now opting to come away from social media. How can they still run a business that doesn't always use social media platform?
I think it's not especially in the beginning, not being too heavy on the numbers, like in your head, like the numbers of people coming in. I feel like when you might have a really busy one week, and then the next week that might drop, or like the next program that might drop, I don't know, in whatever circumstance. And I feel like not to let that get to you. Like there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, especially as the year goes on in business. And I think that not to take that personally, because I think as soon as you start to take that personally, then it's slippery slope.
And I think it's a natural cycle with business. And actually the lady I used to work for, who was actually my dance teacher as well, and I ended up working for her, she actually sat me down once and just explained this to me, and it was really helpful actually as I went into owning my own business. And she sort of just like drew this circle, and then she put like sort of 3 circles around, and it was that cycle of, naturally business will start to drop around here, and every business will have sort of a peak in the year where you'll be at your most, and then the numbers will start to naturally drop, and sometimes it can be based on like outside circumstances, like coming to winter, the focus is going to be more financially being able to keep like your house warm. It can be
and I think there's nothing wrong with adapting your original idea.
And I think it keeps you pushing.
Absolutely.
And thinking about
that's what I struggled with, I think, as well, because I feel like if I'm really passionate about something, I really want it to work, I'll continue and I want to keep pushing it because I don't like to give up easy. But when something's not working, it's okay to look over it and be like, actually, people might just not want this, and then change it to something that people do want.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that there's nothing wrong with changing what you have, because I think when you come up with an idea, and especially when it's come from you sort of can get a little bit stubborn and stuck with making sure that it's going to pan out exactly how you originally planned it. And so you do have to be flexible and change with things. And sometimes it's not what you originally envisioned, but it can end up working out beautifully and actually help you spark other ideas around that. Like different perspective, I think, and looking through different lenses. And I think that's probably a really nice takeaway for like everyone in a business and trying to run something that's their own pathway, is like, be prepared for the winds.
I think that's even in dance in itself. Like, you might set out and you might want to be a showgirl, for example, or you might want to work in cruise ships. You might go to all these cruise ship auditions and then realise after a few, actually, this isn't really like what I'm enjoying, or this isn't working for me. Why don't I try it this way? And then that you might be successful in the next one, and you might go and do a contract somewhere else abroad.
It is true that, because I would say what I originally would have set out to do in terms of dance, like as a kid.
You don't
I was
end up doing it.
One, I wanted to be famous so badly. Like, I just really wanted to be famous. I wanted to perform a lot, and TV for me was just like such a big thing. And then as I got older, I was just like, oh, I actually don't think this is for me at all. And it completely actually threw me, because I was like, oh, what do I do now? Because this is what I've always envisioned. And then I did end up doing parts and stuff like that. So you still get to dip into those ends. But for me, I really found like passion in teaching, as I did actually really enjoy teaching, and like going abroad and stuff like that. And you end up finding so many other avenues where you're like, you didn't realise there was that many options, I think. Sometimes.
I think when I was younger, people used to always say like, I want the world tour. And then everyone just wants that world tour. Yeah. And then, not that I don't want a world tour. If you want to book me for a world tour, you can.
You know, anyone famous would like to book us.
But it's not like, obviously, it's not something that I'm auditioning for every week. It's not something that I'm driving towards.
Definitely.
Just email me.
We're just putting it out there. Like, definitely.
But it's absolutely okay to find new pathways and new enjoyment and other stuff as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, definitely. This just pinged like out of my hands. So I have a little read. You know, I'm like with my cards. Yeah. Does it resonate?
We all have ability. The difference is how we use it.
That's mad. Literally, I was going to... And I'm going to get you to just pick maybe 2 other cards then, and let's see what they say. So these are like, you've got this positive cards.
Will I read this one out first?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Don't let the fear of losing outweigh the excitement of winning.
Oh, I love that. It really goes with like what you were saying about, you know, not worrying about numbers and still having that resilience to push through, because it's worked out really well. Yeah,
there's good and bad times. Be bright and be happy, you shall shine.
Oh, come on. That was the cutest way to actually finish this podcast. That was so cute. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I feel like that's the perfect way to like complete this podcast.
I know. Next time we'll just do a full card reading.
Oh, literally, you know, I'm like my cards. I actually
reveal my deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah, there's so much more depth there, isn't there?
Who's calling that shit?